ready to get to some of the news of the day, and we'll definitely be talking about a lot of things in that space and all along those lines, because there's a lot of things happening in the world, including a press conference or a sit-down talk that President Biden had yesterday. And I'm interested to hear what people have to say about that particular speech. He was definitely saying that he was not in favor of Islamophobia or definitely anti-Semitic talk as well. So he was definitely saying that we need to be cautious about that, because as a society, we are definitely a society of diversity and all along those lines. So we are definitely looking forward to that conversation and all along those lines. So we are definitely very interested to see what folks have to say about that and what is going on in that space. It would be very interesting to hear what Nick Palvedo and others have to say, and if they watched that particular press conference. So, like I said, it was a fascinating, well, not so much a press conference, but like a fireside chat that the president was having. So I'm going to bring in Lee Rhodes and see if he watched that particular event, and we might get to some other news stories as well. And we do have one of the founders of the network, Nick Palvedo, with us as well. So definitely, did either one of you watch the fireside chat and what was going on? Because it was definitely a old-fashioned one. It wasn't a long one. I think it lasted for less than half an hour, but he definitely made some strong support for Ukraine, and also said that we will be giving the money to Israel as well. But I was wondering, did you watch the presentation, and did you have any comments about what the president said and about his thoughts around support?
Did you see it, Lee? I didn't see it. I'm on the road.
I didn't get a chance to see it.
You didn't get a chance to see it? Well, both of y'all on the road. We'll see if Sasha saw it. Sasha was there as well. So, Sasha, did you watch the president's remarks, and what were your thoughts around the president's remarks?
The President Biden you're talking about?
President Biden.
Yeah, he's still the president.
Yeah, I've heard his speech. I think it's quite impressive. At his age, he's able to concentrate and deliver. And in my opinion, everything what he said makes a lot of sense, for sure.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear that and everything, but definitely a lot of things he brought up was this notion of being a unified country and us needing to embrace our diversity. That's something I've talked about as well. But what is your thoughts around that? Are we doing enough to embrace our diversity? A lot of times we think like we are very divided. I know you brought that up, Lee. You brought it up, Nick, as well. But
well, he doesn't attack the tough issues. Once again, typical politician. You know, he doesn't address Social Security going bankrupt. He doesn't address Medicare going bankrupt. He doesn't address the migrants coming in at 10,000 people per day, and he doesn't address any solutions. So he's a feel-good president. You know, I'll send you stuff as long as you feel good about it. But in terms of a tough president who's going to address the issues, he's not there, and he won't be there next year. So I don't know who's going to be the president, but the polls I got, we just completed our LinkedIn Pod TV poll. 39% Trump, 39% any other, and like 21% Biden. So Biden is kind of like on his way out. He's going to be giving his I'm fired ticket, and that's the way it is. Now the only question is who's going to be the next president. So as you notice, I'll do my feel-good speech. Hey guys, I want you all to feel good today. I'm going to give you more money. I'm going to make your life better. And he doesn't. People's lives are getting worse. We've already seen it in the stats. What?
Excuse me, are you talking about yesterday's Biden speech, or you're talking about something else?
No, I'm talking about Biden in general. Because Mark made a comment. He did a feel-good comment. You know, he's a feel-good president.
Yesterday's comments were not feel good at all.
Politician.
No, it was not.
Did he write a book called The Last Politician?
Yesterday. It was not good yesterday's speech at all. He just came back from Israel, where incredible atrocities are happening and the humanitarian catastrophe. He wanted to mobilize American and express and explain why he's doing certain steps by helping Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan. And so it wasn't feel good.
What about helping us, Sasha? We're the United
It was
States
not
of America.
It was not purpose of his
Okay.
speech today. He may talk about it today or tomorrow
Okay,
or
so
maybe a year from now.
someday these politicians need to get
Nick,
off the keister
Nick, all I
and
can
help
say
the American
is
public.
that it is an information that in 7, the most important states, starting with Arizona, with Wisconsin, and 5 others,
Yeah.
Democrats are raising in the last 6 months. They raised 3 to 4 times more money than Republicans. That
Good for
tells
them.
you something, okay? And when you're talking about who will be next president, it's not gonna be Trump. Period. Full
Well,
stop.
I'm just saying the polls are disagreeing with you right now. Such
Bring your
if
people. Bring
today,
500
Trump would be
people
elected.
of your pool.
He's-
Ask
Okay,
them to
it's
put $1
hey
on,
dude, you're
and you're in game.
you know you're behind whether you like it or not. You're 10 points down in the ball game.
That's
I'm
not
That's the
no.
bad
You're not 10 points down.
I'm
Good
ready to
news,
put
you have a year. You have a
$500
year to make up.
Biden.
But I don't see it happening
You're not-
right now.
Nick,
Okay,
Just don't see
I'm
it
ready
happening.
to put $500 that Trump is not going to be next president.
Well, that's because Trump
We're
is
not
tied
saying-
with other.
Biden is not 10
You know?
points down.
Bring in the money. Money talks and bullshit works. Okay.
Biden is
So
not
you
10
want
points
to challenge
down.
me? Put $500.
How about put the bet that make it a different bet that Biden will not be president next year?
No, I'm not going to bet on that.
You won't do that one, will you?
I will bet only the Trump who has a humongous lead in all polls, and he is the greatest ever president. And so on. All I'm saying is, here is my $500.
Biden is not 10
Trump
points
is
down.
not going to be a president.
Yeah,
Mark,
see,
can
that's a
I
negative
chime in
bet.
for a second?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Nick was saying. Except from that, one thing I liked about Barack Obama,
Yes, please.
a lot of I didn't like his politics, but one thing I liked about him is a teachable moment, a beer summit. When you have people disagreeing on opposite sides, he tried to unify them and get them to talk together, come to the table. We have members of Congress here on opposite sides on this Israeli-Gaza conflict, war, atrocities. And he's not bringing them together. You have Rashida Tlaib on one side, where the Palestinians, Hamas can do no wrong. And you have Chuck Schumer, who is showing up today. He was actually at a rally last night, bring home these kidnapped Americans. And he should bring them together to the table. At least they should be looking at the facts. And I don't get it, why these people aren't talking to each other. You're not entitled to your own facts. You're not entitled to you're entitled to your opinion, but not your own facts. And we have a crisis in the world now, whether you're Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Gaza. At least in America, at least the congressmen should be able to sit down and talk to each other. If they can't, what do they expect from us as citizens? And it bothers me that they're not sitting down talking to each other.
Lee, the Republicans can't even talk to themselves. They can't even elect their own leader.
I don't get it.
Imagine this
Oh,
big.
oh, just one more thing. I just want to compliment Mark for this show here, because we have people here who sometimes are very passionate about and come down on different sides of the aisle, but they show up and they respect the other's opinion. We should see that from Congress.
Well, they're watching right now today. We may get finally a speaker today. It's a great time. We're going to have, we'll have
Who's it going to be? Who's
We
this
won't get a
magic
speaker.
man? Notice
We
it's a
won't get a
man.
speaker today at all.
What you told me?
We're not going to get a speaker because they're talking about sending in the temp in to give him the backing, but the Republicans are actually literally coming to almost fist fights behind closed doors right now because half the MAGA wing does not want that to happen. To answer your question, Lee, the reason why many of the individuals won't talk, and this is taking out Rashida Tlaib. Rashida Tlaib she's Palestinian. What do you expect her to do in terms of seeing? It's the same reason why a lot of the Israeli.
She should denounce Hamas. She's a Palestinian. She should
done
denounce
that,
should denounce what Hamas did.
Nick,
Period.
she did that.
The end.
Nick,
As Sasha would say, full stop. She should
Nick,
denounce what
Nick,
Hamas did. Did she
she
do
did
that?
Nick, she did that.
Oh, good. All right. Good for her.
So again, she's watching people like her being murdered and being killed, and that bombings and everything else, and most of the stuff.
Are you talking about the bombing that was done by Hamas because they couldn't get their missile right? That bombing?
Nick, who was
Is that the bombing we're discussing?
Who was killed in?
Yes, it is, Nick. Right? She didn't come out and acknowledge that she got
the
facts wrong.
The intelligence that we're getting is that was a Hamas bomb that they misdirected,
Nick,
and it landed in their hospital.
Who was killed in that bomb? Palestinians. Yeah. So what you just said did nothing to change my point, and nothing to dissuade her from being upset about Palestinians being killed, because who was killed? Palestinians.
You can be upset about the Palestinians being killed, and you should be, and we all should be, but you shouldn't point the finger knowingly at the wrong person.
But again,
it's refused to apologize.
Just as we talked about yesterday.
Care about the lives on October 7th?
Lee, just as we talked about yesterday, when Israel does not have blood on their hands. They're not completely innocent in this whole situation. So acting as if they are, and when Rashida Tlaib is speaking, as we talked about yesterday, how there have been multiple times where the Palestinians have been killed and bombed, and there was no outrage. And she's been begging for, hey, wake up.
That doesn't give a person the right to lie.
What?
That does not give you the right to lie about who did what.
It does not. If she's trying to tell you that her people are being killed, and
wait.
Just in the fog of war,
this is a problem with this racist attitude. Her people should be the Jews and the Palestinians.
She's upset because her people are being killed.
No. She's a racist, baby. Her people are the Jews and the Palestinians. Okay, please. The minute she goes, my people, she's just saying, I'm a racist. Her people are the Jews and the Palestinians.
Correct. She's Palestinian.
So what?
American, I thought. Isn't she American?
So what? That's when you come to America, you shred. You get rid of your racism. You're an American lady.
She represents all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Check your racism at the door.
Incorrect. That is one of the most ignorant.
That is the principle of America, baby.
No, it doesn't work.
Check your racism at the door when you come here.
If you're saying that,
and don't say these are my people,
then why are we standing up and saying the Jewish people? It goes both ways.
I don't get your point, Jacoby.
I don't,
because the reason Nick is saying that she can't say, oh, she's Palestinian because that's racist.
She's American. She's not Palestinian.
Then
American.
Why do people say that they're Jewish? If they're American, they can't be Jewish, can they? If they're American, they can't be Irish.
They can't be anything, but their interests are American first. And only then they can be
if they're
Indian
American,
and Chinese or whatever.
They can't be anything but American, is what you're saying.
Especially that she is elected representative. She's not just if she has her own business and she wants to say whatever she wants.
You're saying that she's American.
Yes,
therefore she cannot talk about being Palestinian. That means if you're American, you can't talk about being Irish. If you're American, you can't talk about being Jewish. If you're American, you can't talk about being Japanese or Israel. You cannot even talk about being
and
Ukrainian.
has to be thrown out and actually be sued and put in jail for her extremism. Period.
Again, you are saying.
I get your point. I agree with you, but she should also have the same heartbreaking feelings for the Israelis, because they're humans. For the Ukrainians, they're humans. The Uyghurs, they're humans. I can go on.
But why she's asking why nobody has that same passion and that same love and that same respect for the Palestinian people? Just as I showed you in that
fair point, and she should lead by example.
That's a fair point. Then why are you arguing?
She's not leading by example.
You're not listening. If that's a fair point, then why are you arguing that she's being wrong and she's horrible and that she should be the
about October 7th? She didn't give a damn about who really bombed the hospital. She just called out
Incorrect.
Israel without knowing the facts.
Incorrect. She did. But again, she feels that nobody cares about the Palestinians dying. She feels that nobody cares about the 700 plus kids who were killed. She feels that nobody cares about the 4,000 who died under Hamas rule, and nobody's done anything.
That's what she feels.
Said anything. Nobody's cared. Even that the gentleman that you wanted us to play yesterday said everything that the Palestinian people were the ones beheading. No, it wasn't. It was Hamas.
I would like to
that's
see him
true.
sit down with a Chuck Schumer and publicly and talk it out, the issues, because they're on the extreme side. I would like to see them sit down.
The thing is, again, yes, it would be great for them to talk it out, but we can't even talk it out when both sides dig in so deeply and get upset. For example, I'm saying her position, saying that, hey, look, my people are being killed, and all three of you told me, no, you should have empathy for the Israelis.
No, I said for both people. You misinterpreted it, Jacoby. I said both people. Oh, both people. I didn't say just the Palestinians or just the Israelis.
Again, she's arguing for sympathy for the Palestinian people because nobody is listening, saying the Palestinian people.
Only the Palestinians.
No, she's not saying only the Palestinians. She's saying it's the same thing. Here, we'll take it domestically. It's the same thing with Black Lives Matter. When people try to say the people, the African American community is trying to bring to light all the abuses that the Black community have been facing, they're not saying only Black people. They're saying Black people have been abused. Do you know this? And then when people come to them or come to the African American community and say, no, you just keep saying only Black Lives Matter. No, I'm just saying we're being abused at this statistically high rate. So therefore, can we talk about the issues? It's an analogy in this way. If we all go to dinner, we're all sitting at the dinner and I get my plate, Nick gets his plate, Sasha gets his plate. We're all eating. Lee, you say, where's my plate? Well, hey, we all got ours. What are we worried about you for? All plates matter. My plate matters.
Okay, I don't have a problem with Biden, what Biden said. I didn't hear him speak, but I heard him talk about anti-Semitism is wrong. Islamophobia is wrong. So he's talking about different types of hate. When Black Lives Matter came out, and they said Black Lives Matter, of course they do, duh, and I'm on board with that. But when people said all lives matter, they were called out as being racist.
Yes.
How is that racist?
Do you know why? Again, just in that analogy, when you are trying to gloss over the problem that is going on in a community, you are forgetting about it because you are thinking that it is, hey, you're trying, those Black people are being all uppity, because that's where it came out of. It actually came from those racist organizations.
Putting words in other people's mouth. Maybe your history is different.
No,
I don't know.
No,
I know you
that is what
heart.
it came from.
We're all humans.
Again,
human lives matter.
We're sitting at dinner. You don't have your plate. Why? All plates matter.
But
why do I care about yours? All plates matter.
But unfortunately, there are going to be more innocent people killed on both sides.
Watch. Yes. And there will be a higher proportion of Palestinians killed.
You're exactly correct, Jacoby. There'll be a higher percentage of Palestinians on a going forward.
That is what Rashida Tlaib and the Palestinian and many Palestinian Americans and many in the Arab nations are trying to point out. But just as we sat here and argued over, this part, that's what the Palestinians are getting pushed back from, is that, you're American, you shouldn't worry about it. Oh, well, what about the Israelis? You're saying that the Palestinians care.
Americans need to worry about everything that goes around the world. We are the world's superpower. I mean, so we have to worry about everything.
I think the statistics are over that same period where 4,000 Palestinian people were killed up under Hamas, 700 Israelis. 4,700. And so you got
but the thing is, if you're looking at what's in the Gaza
It's not
Strip,
fair to look at numbers.
that doesn't make sense because there's a disproportionate amount of Palestinians.
No, of course it's
No,
not.
you're looking at raw numbers, not percentage numbers.
What? That argument doesn't even make any sense.
Well, if you have 2 million Palestinians, you have 100,000 Israelis, and you said, look, more Palestinians got killed. Well, that's because there's 2 million of them as opposed to like 100,000 Israelis. So, and a raw data is different than percentage data, and this is how the media skews numbers, and of course all.
So wait a second, Nick, just to retort that.
What is it on a percentage basis?
No, what I'm saying is just to retort that. You are saying that.
Notice what we're doing is we're doing the death statistics.
No, because there are more people. You're saying they're more expendable.
You know. No, I just want to make sure everything's on a level playing field.
If life matters on either way, correct? We can all agree on that. If life matters,
except abortions, as we well know. Except abortion
is completely different. Abortions is completely different because I can show you.
In the Democratic Party, life matters unless you're unborn. Then it doesn't matter. Incorrect. Because life matters, except if you're not born.
That is a complete. If you really want to go down that road, I can go ahead.
They don't think it's a real life.
Life? Are you saying life begins at conception? It does. What day do we celebrate? What day do we celebrate? Your conception day or your birthday?
When you get married, you still celebrate a birthday. What's your point?
Do you celebrate your birthday or do you celebrate your conception day?
Oh, you celebrate birthday. So what's your point?
Even in the Bible, they don't even talk about your conception day.
What's your point? By the way, if you go to SSRN and you look at the top biologist in the world, over 90% agree life starts at conception.
Incorrect.
You know more than 90% of the biologists in the world.
Here's an answer for you.
This is really great about you, Jacoby. Somebody gives you a fact. 90% of highly educated biologists in the whole world
that is not a fact.
And you quickly go incorrect. You couldn't go incorrect. Like I've got the superior
data.
Well, yes, Jacoby. Please, Jacoby, tell us when life begins.
You bring up an arbitrary number is not a fact.
It's on SSRN.com. It's the largest depository of academic journals in the world. I mean, so it's not like this is an unusual study, No, so go look it up.
What.com? Where is it?
SSRN.com. Okay. It's Social Science Research Network.
On SSRN, does every conception lead to a birth?
You can go look at their study. These people are maniacs when it comes to studying things like this. This is not my area, so I defer to the experts. Okay,
does
the
every
experts
conception
say life begins at conception. Okay, it's not me saying it's 90% plus of the biologists around the world saying it. What I love about you, Jatovia, is you'll have 90% of experts around the world saying one thing, and you'll quickly go incorrect and dismiss it. Like,
does every conception lead to a birth?
Just ask them. I am not a biologist. Do you see my biology degree behind me? Ask them. Don't ask me.
We know for a fact what the answer is. Does every conception lead to a birth?
What's the point?
What's your point?
Yes,
of course not. Of course not. So what?
Thank you. So you're saying that God kills kids in the womb?
God kills kids in the womb. People die. By the way, between me, you, and the SARS, people in Palestine are going to die today without the war.
Now too? Is that what we're saying?
I hate to tell you this. People will die in Palestine today. They get old. They get old and they die. I mean, that's just what happens.
Your belief in
I know this is a hard fact. And some of them be in auto accidents today and they'll die. I mean, that's just the kind of way it is. By the way, in the United States, 100,000 people died last year of fentanyl. Okay. And do fentanyl lives matter? I guess not, because it's all Palestinian and Jews. It's not the Americans that are just dying of fentanyl. Those 100,000 people, I'll forget them. They're not interesting, at least to the media. To this,
Yeah, but there's a big difference. People who are dying from fentanyl, they elected to do so. It's their own will. It's their own choice. They would like to die for fentanyl. What can you do about that? No Jews, no Palestinians elected to be killed. But Americans do elect to die from fentanyl. Let them do so. Why would I care about them? Let them die, and as many as possible.
No, I don't agree with letting them die. No, there are actually
let them die, baby.
Put in place.
We have the let them die policy.
They are losers. Losers have to die.
No,
we can create this new policy. I'll see how the politicians like this one. Losers have to die policy. The fentanyl loser have to die policy. That's a new one.
Question to you,
Sasha, you're the one who could create something like that.
This is a moment of
very quick question to you, Jatovia. Tell me, please, are Hamas Palestinians or not?
Are all Hamas Palestinians?
I have no clue. I don't think so.
No. Not all Hamas who join Hamas are Palestinians.
Sorry,
there are other, some have come from Iran, some have come from Lebanon, who come out of Hezbollah and join those. I mean, they're different, but yes, there are Palestinians that are part of Hamas. That's like me saying, are all racist Republicans? That's not true.
No. Okay, you're right. Actually, I love your question, your answer, because it's correct. Now, second question.
Oh, you're correct.
You've done it. See, you're improving. You are improving day by day. Okay, so the next question.
Shaquille's frustrated.
On October 7th, now Hamas or Palestine or Gaza, but somebody started the war against Israel. Number one is Hamas, definitely started the war against Israel. Israel accepted and said that now they are at war with Gaza. You see, you cannot be at war with Hamas, but not with Gaza at the same time. It's impossible simply because these cowards from Hamas, they're hiding this behind Palestinians.
Well, that's where the bombs are coming from, Sasha.
Sorry?
I mean, the thing is, the bombs are all coming from the Gaza Strip. What they're going to do is strip Gaza. That makes perfectly good sense to me.
When Americans were fighting Second World War, didn't they bomb the Germany, Dresden, 300,000 people killed in one night? Didn't they do that? Anybody crying for poor Germans' babies killing in a raid on Dresden? Why nobody's crying about that? That was a war. This baby is a war. There will be a lot of casualties. You want to call it collateral damage? Fine. You want to call it the results of war which Hamas started? Yes, there are results. You wanted to kill Israelis and do it free of charge. Okay, I just feel today like I want to kill a few Israelis here and there. Why wouldn't I do it? Okay, here's my rifle. Okay, there are 1,000 and 5,000 more people who feel the same way. So let's go. Okay. So, and what did you think would be the result of that? What would be the repercussions? What would be the punishment for that? They didn't think about that. They were happy.
I don't think they care.
Babies. What do they care about? What did they care about?
Just killing people. They're sociopaths, psychopaths.
Okay. So with this type of people, no negotiations, no agreements, nothing is possible. They have to be liquidated. Period. Now, if the Israelis by miracle liquidate Hamas without touching any Palestinians, that would be great. Why not? But how you can actually, in reality, how you can do that? It's impossible. But Hamas has to be eliminated until the very last person. They all have to die. They all have to be eliminated, period. Now, whatever comes with that, unfortunately, But you know what?
Sasha,
There are failed
Sasha,
states. The Palestine, the
Sasha,
Gaza.
is there a
Sorry,
consequence
I'm
to?
talking. Mark, I'm talking. Thanks. Hamas is a failed state, and there are repercussions. And repercussions are coming when a failed state is starting aggression against its neighbor. There could be repercussion. Hamas actually, they should have prepared better and actually win against Israel and kill all Jews. Well, that's what should have been done, because then they would have no repercussions. They would win, there would be no repercussions, and they would go and find who next to kill. Okay? That's not gonna happen, baby. That's not. Now, there was a crime on October 7th. There will be punishment as long as it takes to kill the very last member of Hamas. Now I'm
Sasha?
done. Yeah.
I just got a history question for you. Israel was created in 1948. 1948, where did all these Palestinians live?
That's a good question. When there was a decision to create two states, a lot of them were coming from neighboring Arab countries like Jordan. Yeah, mostly from Jordan.
Where do occupied territories then? Why did all these Arab countries attack Israel then if they weren't occupying any territories?
But you see, the tragedy of Palestinians is that both Jordan and Egypt, they were not taking their land. They occupied the land that should have been owned by Palestinians. They occupied it. And
Jordan
they kept it under their control. Jordan, Egypt, yes. They kept it under their control. Gaza is Egypt. West Bank is Jordan. And they kept it under...
When did this call of being occupied start? Only after Israel got the territories. Is that right? Before then, nobody had a problem with Jordan and Egypt.
The occupation of Jordan and Egypt started exactly in 1948 when there was a war.
Nobody cared.
Sorry?
Nobody cared then when they occupied it.
Nobody cared. Absolutely nobody. And they occupied that territory until, believe it or not, 6 Days War,
1967. And correct me if I'm wrong, the PLO didn't start in 67 when Israel occupied the territories. It started in 64. So this has nothing to do with occupied territories.
Israel never occupied that territory until 1967, 6 Days War. That's where they threw out Jordans and Egyptians and declared it Israeli territory because they wanted to be protected. And by protected, you control neighboring territory. But I think they made a mistake. They should have made it Israel proper. Forget about the territories, the Palestinians, the Jordans, and whoever, and make it Israel proper and ask all these citizens become Israeli citizens. You know that Israel, 2 million Arabs are legitimate citizens of Israel.
In East Jerusalem, and
same rights, they're working, they have medical care, everything. So they could have offered that to these Palestinians living in Gaza and so.
Sasha, one more question.
Hey, out of curiosity,
one more question for Sasha. I apologize. Just one more question, and it's relevant. Then you can say whatever you want. I apologize, Sasha. So there are a lot of Muslim Arabs, Palestinians living in Israel proper. How many Jews are living in Gaza?
0.
Why is that? How many Jews live in Jordan? How many Jews living in Lebanon? How many Jews live in Iran? Iraq?
0. Jews don't live in these anti-Semitic countries, period. They don't do that. They don't.
So for all those who's saying that,
what happened in 1920?
You know, there was
29.
You know,
what happened in 1920?
You tell me.
I want to tell you that until 1979, when the Shah of Iran was dethroned by Ayatollahs, there was very substantial Jewish community in Iran. And there were very good relationship between Iranians and Jews who lived in Iran. Now, once Ayatollah came to power, they all left Iran. There are no Jews now living in Iran. Because how you can live in a country which stated government goal is to destruction
Really?
of
Yeah.
Israel. Okay, same is like Gaza. What's the goal of Hamas? Destruction of Israel and killing all the Jews. And that's they started on October 7th. They've done pretty good job for one day. They killed more Jews than it's ever happened since Holocaust. So you cannot dismiss that. But that's a real threat. And if people are indoctrinated that your goal of your life is to kill as many Jews and to destroy state of Israel, there is no negotiations with these people. They just have to be eliminated. That's period.
So Sasha, again, what happened in 1920?
A lot of things happened in 1920. You're talking
Between
what mind, Chitovi.
So the British
Oh,
mandate for
over 100
Palestine
years
in
ago.
1918 through 1948 was the outcome of several factors: the British occupation of the territories previously ruled by the Ottoman Empire, the peace treaties that brought the First World War to an end, and the principle of self-determination that emerged after the war. So in 1920, it sounds like, well, 1920 is when you can go back further because you keep jumping to 1948.
But that's when the state was created by the
And
US.
Palestine.
okay, well, besides showing excellent command of Wikipedia that you just
It's not
demonstrated,
Wikipedia.
what else you want to say?
It's in Wikipedia.
Where is it? Where are you?
I mean, it's the international. What is this? The International Encyclopedia of the First World War.
Okay, very good. Jitovi, you're getting there. Okay, read something else.
I mean, I
Professor
can read a little
Jacoby,
bit more about it.
continue.
I mean, it just these are if we're gonna speak facts on it and just only jump to one particular point in time.
What's the
what
fact
happened
you're trying
prior?
to share?
Huh?
What's the fact you're trying to share? I didn't catch the fact.
Well, it sounds like the problem between Israeli and Palestine didn't start when in 1948 or 1946 when you guys keep jumping to.
No, it started about 2,000 to 4,000 years ago, really.
Thousands and thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
It started.
Like
And then-
4,000
and
years
then-
ago.
But you guys keep jumping to
When
that
Moses
time.
decided to get out of Egypt and took the Jews all the way around into
Nick, but at
how
that
many
time,
years ago was that?
So
you're right,
I mean,
but
even-
at that time there were no Palestinians in existence. So there could not be a conflict between Jews and Palestinians because
it
Jews
just talks
were
about 1920
5,000
there are. So Sasha, I don't know what
Palestinians
you're
were
talking
not.
about.
Sorry?
Just tell me, what landmass are you talking about? 1920, what landmass are you talking about?
All right, background. By the time Britain conquered Palestine at the end of
Thank you very much. What did that
1917,
encompass? That Palestine you're talking about, what landmass are you talking about? You're talking about what's normally Judea and Samaria and Jordan also? Jordan
I'll
was in
continue
there,
reading because that's what it's
Transjordan.
talking about.
You mean
I mean,
Transjordan?
Yes, thank you.
So it had made several conflicting arrangements to gain support for various groups in the Middle East. These include Hassan McMahon correspondence. I cannot pronounce it. A series of letters exchanged, World War, blah, 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 blah. British agreement. Let me come down. Agreed to recognize Arab independence after the war in exchange for Hussein. I can't pronounce his name.
It's not
okay.
English, probably.
Launching the Arab revolt against the Ottoman Empire. So this is back when Palestine was there, which divided the Middle East into British and French spheres of influence. And the Balfour Declaration, in which British government committed itself to a national home for the Jewish people. Before the British occupation, Palestine was part of the Ottoman Syria. The British Army ruled Palestine until a civil administration was established on July 1st, 1920. Britain was granted a mandate for Palestine on April 25th, 1920, at the San Romeo Conference on July 24th, 1922. This was a mandate to approve by the League of Nations. The British were given a dual mandate that is on behalf of the Palestinian or the Palestine's inhabitants on the one hand, and on behalf of the international society on the other hand. Balfour Declaration was incorporated into the preamble in the second article of the Mandate for Palestine. British thus also had a dual obligation toward both Arabs and Jews, which the mandate included the main parts of the Balfour Declaration, such as the proclamation of support for a Jewish national home. Under the mandate of the mandate's terms, the British had an obligation to conduct its policy in Palestine in accordance with the needs of both Jews and Arabs. This included creating political, administrative, and economic conditions that would facilitate the independent rule of the communities under British control. These objectives were an integral contradiction in the mandate. The British determined that borders of Palestine, according to other arrangements they had made with their allies. For example, they transferred the eastern bank of the Jordan River to the control of Abdullah ibn Hussein,
Jordan,
1882, of the Hashemite dynasty,
yeah.
And appointed the king of Jordan in recognition of his support during the war. Then it goes to the demographics of Palestine. Again, Palestine was there. So
Hey, Toby and Lee, I've got some good news for everybody that's got some opinions about this and all along those lines. I've actually reached out to some folks that are in the lane of understanding these international politics more than a lot of us do, including myself. So I think I've got one that's coming on Monday and another one that's coming on Tuesday. So on the World Edition, we'll have some folks that'll be speaking from the perspective of studying this, including a young lady. I think she's scheduled for Tuesday, if I remember correctly. It might be Monday, but she definitely has worked some of these discussions, including being involved in government and all along those lines for our own U.S. government. So she will bring a different perspective, and one that I'm anxious to hear from her perspective, because I don't know that what her stance will be. Like I said, I just reached out to her through some of the sources that I have, so she may agree with some of what Tasha had said. She may not agree with some of what Tasha had said, but we'll be interested to see what her viewpoints are, because she is coming on. Like I said, I know we've got a couple of folks in this lane that are coming on next week that I've already reached out to, and definitely they have been involved in everything from the UN to a number of other as well. I know Lee likes ECS, and I found a couple that are international in scope, so we'll see what they have to say and all along those lines. But the other thing that I was trying to bring up, and I know y'all were talking about it earlier, and this is something that Kim sent me and everything, but it was Kim, one of the other founders of the network, was how some of the statistics have been skewed in the sense of not showing the amount of to the Palestinians, and this was over a course of years. So this was a statistic thing that she had sent as well. So that's what I was trying to bring up, because she had sent that to my email and to a number of other sources as well. So definitely she wanted your thoughts around this. Actually, when she sent it to me, she was like, I wonder if Sasha had seen these statistics that show the amount of deaths that have been highly skewed toward the Palestinian side and all along those lines. I don't know if you have.
Is it Israelis?
Him, but she did send this to me that shows the amount of death. And
these numbers are meaningless. Absolutely. They're meaningless, because what you're trying to say is that Israelis are guilty of so many Palestinians passed away in these years because of the malnutrition, because they don't have enough water or food, or a combination of both. Why I would be interested to look at the statistics at all? It doesn't tell me anything about what's happening. But you know what? Since we were talking about what's happened 5,000 years ago, and in 1920, and in 1948, and 10 years ago, 6 Days War, let's talk about what's now.
Okay,
now,
what's now? Just to point out,
Now, okay, explain.
Just to point out why these numbers matter, and because
I
how
don't
you
care.
guys.
Listen,
No,
Zitovi,
wait.
don't care one way
You
or
said
another.
talk about now. You said talk about now. Let me
You
explain.
said you don't care, but
So,
then
in terms of the
Kim will bring them up
population,
for a reason.
yeah, in terms of the population, how you guys jumped on me when I tried to point out these numbers, and you guys said, well, oh, there are more Palestinians. Well, there are in Israel, the population is 9.34 million. That was in 2021. In Lebanon, the population is 5.593. Palestine, 4.923. So there are a lot of Israelis there. So you cannot complain. There are a lot of Jewish individuals there. There are a lot of Palestinians there. So we cannot, again, just blindly ignore these numbers and say, well, there are more Palestinians there. So therefore, no, they are people too. We cannot just say,
Jacoby,
hmm,
Jacoby, theoretically, this should never happen. You shouldn't know from it. But if you had a home invasion and one member of your family died, and there was 10 people, and you slaughtered all those 10 home invaders, are you going to say, well, that wasn't proportional? Yeah, it was 10 to 1. Is that a
again,
rational argument?
Hamas is a terrorist organization.
Terrorists.
The Palestinian people are not.
You're right. And it's a crime.
So then
it's
why
a
are
war
we
crime
arguing
Hamas,
that these numbers don't matter?
Jacoby, it's a war crime that Hamas embeds among civilians.
Lee, the Palestinian people are just as equal as the Israeli people.
100%.
The Palestinian people are
Unfortunately,
getting
Hamas-
killed at a larger
Jacoby,
number.
Unfortunately, Hamas doesn't agree with you and me.
Again, we're not talking about Hamas. I'm saying, and can you even agree that a Palestinian life is just as equal as an Israeli life?
As a civilian, yes, 100%. A terrorist, no.
Then us saying that the numbers don't matter is a problem.
No, the numbers matter in that regard. I agree with you. But
Then
you
why
have
are
to
we
put the
arguing?
blame where it is. No, I
Then why
agree
are
with
we
you on
arguing?
that point, 100%. But we have to very important when you look at the numbers, though. You have to point fingers. Who's responsible for those Palestinian deaths?
I'm sorry, there are
That's
not
very
so many
important.
deaths as there are so many injured because the red is injured and the black is dead. So there are not a disproportionate number of deaths considering that they have very poor medicine,
Sasha,
nutrition. So
just to point
these
out, it tells you right there.
injuries, I don't know why they have so
Sasha.
many injuries, really.
Sasha, it tells you right on there, total deaths.
I don't see total deaths. I see
It's written.
Palestinians. It goes year by year.
Who's giving us these
On
numbers?
my screen. You go year by year from 2008 until 2000.
Look directly across on the left-hand side from
Yes.
2008. There is a rectangle there. Inside that rectangle, it says total deaths.
Yes, I can see that. And I'll tell you, you want to imply that all the deaths were inflicted by Jews? The Jews killed 5,590 people?
That's not what it's saying.
It's total deaths. So people were dying from some causes. I don't know what are these causes, and you don't know. So what are you showing?
Mark, if you could scroll up just a tad, is this talking about the total deaths from the different wars, or can you scroll up just a little bit? Uh-oh, Mark, you're on mute. There you go. Human cost. Scroll down just some. Oh, violence broke out, clashes between, blah, 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 blah. So this is talking about conflict. This isn't just talking about just the human cost of the conflict of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Does it point out, does it separate Israeli versus Palestinian fire? And I'm including Hamas within Palestinian because I don't know all the different groups like Islamic Jihad.
But then,
who's responsible for all those deaths? Does it break that out?
Lee.
Otherwise, it's irrelevant.
So you're saying it is okay for Hamas to kill Palestinians then?
100% not. I agree with you. It's horrible. It's a war crime.
Then why are we
It's
so
not okay for them to do
determined? Then why are you so determined to break it down and pigeonhole it to, okay, well, hey, if Hamas killed them, oh, see, it's Hamas killing. The complaint is that the Palestinians are dying at a higher level. We didn't
What's your
even
suggestion then? If Israel's out of the picture, then they're not doing anything. They're on picnics and barbecues, and Hamas is killing Gazans. What are we supposed to do? Point the finger at Israel or point the finger at where it should be?
again, the people, the Palestinian people are saying that no one cares if their people are dying.
Palestinian people have to care about themselves. They have to say, we don't want Hamas there. And even if they will have uprising, and Hamas will kill 100,000 of them, but the remaining 2 million people, but they want to be, we are scared of Hamas, we are scared of Israelis, we are scared of everybody. These people have no right to exist, period.
Would you support the Palestinian people if that were to happen?
Would I support? No.
So then you're telling a people that have no support from anyone.
They have 19 Arab countries around the world. And they have 60 Muslim countries around the world. Let these people to support them. No one country want to take even one Palestinian.
Sasha, first off, you're being very biased and everything when you use terms like people and everything. Because that's terms that a lot of folks would find very offensive when you say terms like
Mark, it doesn't matter what we are talking here. It matters what's going to happen on the grounds, okay? That's what matters, and that's what we're going to discuss in the next programs.
Sasha,
that's it.
You're complaining that the Palestinian people will not rise up, so therefore they're in bed with Hamas. I asked you if you would support the Palestinian people rising up. You said you would not.
No, I don't have means to support Palestinian people. I cannot do that. Why would I say, oh, yeah, sure, I will support, but I have no means to support
what means do you have to support anybody else right now then?
I want to tell you something. I have no means, realistic means to help Palestinians.
But yet you jumped up and down my throat when I said that the Palestinian people are being killed. You jumped up and down my throat when I said, look, they're killed at a higher proportion during this time. And you complained that why are we even talking about it? Those numbers are irrelevant.
What you showed me, it's a pure Palestinian Islamic propaganda.
How is it propaganda?
Because I looked at what they are showing. They're showing so many. They have a lot of injuries, much more than Israelis. I saw that. The death, not really, because if they have a poor medicine, they have poor
compared to 200
and food conditions. Yeah, of course, they're different in different universe. If you complain civilization of Israel, which is part of Western civilization, you will get the Islamic civilization where Gaza is, and Gaza is the very last member of Islamic civilization. How can you compare it?
Sasha, here's the issue.
Come on.
You keep this, your biases and your bigotry in this whole situation has blinded you on that issue.
Hamas created absolutely inhuman atrocities on October 7th. These people are like mad dogs. Mad dogs have to be killed. Israel has to go out, hunt all those Hamas people and kill them one by one. That's all what I'm discussing. I have nothing else to discuss here, okay?
You've consistently said that you would not support the Palestinian people.
I don't care. Maybe I'll support, maybe I don't. I don't care about that. All I care is that a last member of Hamas will be killed. That's the only thing what I'm saying.
That in itself is the problem.
Sasha,
no, it's not.
And I know that Dr. Johnson Lockwood is waiting for you and everything. So we're getting ready to end this show, and we'll have some more conversations on this later on. I know we went a little bit over, but definitely Dr. Johnson is waiting for you in the Ukraine room. So we're getting ready to go over there. But we'll, like I said, we've got some folks that'll be speaking about this issue next week, and I'll reach out to some others as well. But
Mark,
Lee,
I
just to
have
let
a
you know, I
comment to
just wanted to-
Jacoby, theoretically, if the terrorists of Hamas were eradicated, I'm on board with you for the Palestinians living peacefully. I'm on board with that. But
Yeah,
it's very
and-
theoretical. That's why people gave them back in 2005, those territories, because they were hopeful that they would be able to live side by side with peace with them.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm
I
on board
agree.
with you in theory.
And the problem, and again, the problem is that we have to. The Palestinian people want their land and want, because they are a people, as you see from 1920, they had land back in 1920 going into 1948, and then there's conflict between the two, and this is why the two-state solution has always been the idea. But then you have
When
that
you say that all
conflict, and
Palestinian people in
occupation
1920 and 28, you're aware they're not all Palestinians, and that what you're talking about were Muslims. Some were Christian, some were
Yeah.
Jewish, some
Yep.
were other nationalities.
Yep.
And
And
other
even
religions.
in that time, there were some that were Christian that sided with those in the Arab nations that fought against the others. I mean, it's a very muddy situation, and we're trying. And this is why I get a little agitated, is because we forget the humanity of the whole situation, and we forget the individuals in the whole situation. And we get to, like Sasha's point, oh, well, they should all be killed. It doesn't matter, whatever. Dude, we've got to figure out some way. Sure, Hamas needs to be taken out. Okay. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Okay. But as you do that, what about those innocent civilians that are caught in the crossfire? How do we protect them? How do we have some type of humanitarian aid or some type of situation that they can be protected? So we're not just going in guns ablazing, killing everybody there and saying, okay, we're done here. That's what creates more hatred across the Middle East towards individuals, towards the Israelis, towards the US, towards anybody who comes in there, because you're just coming in and it looks like you're just ethnically cleansing when you're moving the Palestinian
That's a valid
people.
point, and
That's
that's a valid
where,
point. I just wish Hamas cared more about.
but that's the thing. We cannot look at Hamas isn't going to care about human life the way we need them to care about human life. They may care about particular individuals that they are around, just like any other gang. Gangs get to, and this is why dehumanizing people, that's another thing. When we're talking about the individuals at the border and we're trying to dehumanize them, it makes it easier for nutcases to walk over there and say, well, this person or this isn't really a person, it's a thing, and I must get rid of it. That's what happened in our history. That's how they dehumanize Black people on a regular basis. That's how they dehumanize the Irish community. That's how they dehumanize the Native American population. And they still do that to the Native American population, that they are not people. So you dehumanize an individual, and it makes it easy for some crazy individual to see that as a thing that I've got to get rid of. And so, yes, Hamas isn't going to see that Israeli or that Jewish individual as a person. They see them as a thing that they must get rid of. But again, Hamas has ideals that they are fighting for. So that's why the negotiations and the discussions to get the hostages out, because again, we go in guns a-blazing, guess who's getting killed? The hostages, because we haven't negotiated or even tried that. And yes, this is a nasty war and this is horrible. But again, in the past 15 years, there have been 5 wars break out. So it's every third year there's a war between Israel, the conflict erupts. So we've got to figure out a way to make it better for the future and not keep falling back into our same agitated ways. I hate these people. I hate those people. Those numbers are irrelevant because it doesn't matter. No, they're relevant. That's the reason why this group of individuals are mad because you're saying that they're irrelevant. They're very relevant to people.
When I say they're relevant, Joey, you know what I mean. It doesn't tell the whole picture.
I know what you mean, Lee. But
and Lee, to that point, I know we got to wrap up and everything because actually Sasha's doing the other show on the other side. But Lee, just really quickly to your point, I don't think we're getting the whole story even from the Israeli side as well, because in my mind, and I've talked to some people that are from the Arab nations, some that might be from different societies and everything, there is a very militant and even a reactionary kind of point of the Israeli government and even the Israeli military that has done some very terroristic actions as well. And we don't talk about that in the media that much either. And part of that is because they are an ally, and we don't want to go deep into the woods on some things that might be ugly about the allies. I personally think that there might be some ugly sides to even the Ukrainian government that we don't really explore as well. And I definitely think that Russia is doing a horrible
I agree
act
with you. Truth matters.
to defend Ukraine, but there are some aspects of even the Ukrainian government, both present and past, that are very nationalistic and very like ultra nationalistic. And I think that there are some aspects of Israel that are very ultra nationalistic as well. So I think that there are some terrorist elements that exist in all of those communities, and that we need to be aware of that as well. And I don't think that I've seen that much coverage about that aspect of it in the media as well. And like I said before, I've got you might as well call my dad's girlfriend because they've been together for 25 years almost. Part of my family that is Jewish, and I've got some other friends that are in that lane. So I do have friends in both communities, and I just think that, as Joey was saying, there's not enough communication going on, and I think that that's part of what President Biden was saying, is that we don't need to lump people into stereotypes on either side. And I think that that's part of what is happening as.
Yep. And a lot of times, even when we're breaking into those individual parts or the individual stereotypes, we try and use history, but each side will passionately gloss over history and not look at history, because the war has been going on for a very long time. Even in from 1947 to 1949, there was a lot that went on. It just wasn't 1948 that stuff happened. So we gloss over and forget things, didn't even know about the 1920 stuff. What about even before that? So each side begins to passionately overlook. 1976, there was a 6-day war. So they were just, we have to get back to some form of communication. And if we don't, then it's just more death and then more war in the future.
More death and more rhetoric. And I think that's where we slip into some of this rhetorical conversation that is in some minds. And I hate to put this, but sometimes, and I know that any of us, not just picking on certain people, but we can get into toxic rhetoric as well and everything. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing that we have to be very cautious about, as well as to understand, as you just said, Jacoby, all sides of what is going on in the conflict, the history of the conflict, and not just caught up in vitriol, which I know that we have sometimes got caught up in some of the toxicity and all along those lines. But there are some solutions out there as well. That's what I think. But part of that is my humanitarian kind of beliefs. And some people have teased me before. I know we've been killed a lot of times and go tease me because it is, by some people, seen as an anti-religious song. And it definitely has a line about being anti-religious, but I still think of Imagine and all along those lines, and that's what I'm hoping for. And I know John Lennon wrote that years ago, many decades ago, but hopefully we can have something like that happen in our lifetime, or if not in our lifetime, definitely in my nephew's lifetime, in your kid's lifetime, and everything along those lines. Yep. But that's kind of what I dream of. I mean, that's part of what the song was, is the dreaming of a better world and everything. But right now we're not seeing enough of the conversations going on. And there's a lot of that very toxic stereotypes that are going on, and a lot of that divisiveness that we oftentimes talk about on this network and all along those lines. But we get on out of here. No, Sasha's already in his conversation with Jonathan about Ukraine, Russia, and I'm sure they'll touch on Israel as well. But we're going to get on out of here. We'll have some more of the shows coming up, and some further conversations and all along those lines. At one point, he was going to give me a compliment. I don't know what the compliment was. We did that for next week and everything.
Oh, go ahead, Lee.
I just want to wish you all a good week and a blessed day. I didn't mean to cut you off. My phone died, whatever. So I just came back to say hello and goodbye. I'll see y'all next week.
All right. Yeah, you have a great weekend.
Right now, we're going to get on out of here, and we will have some more World Edition on next week. And I know we've got guests. I think I've got guests scheduled Monday through Wednesday, but we'll see what they're talking about. And some of them are talking about the political lanes as well. So we're looking forward to those conversations.
Mark, I just want to thank you for all that you do. Okay. Thank you for the guests that you bring on the show, Mark. It adds value.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, see you.
Take care.